Buying a VW Crafter camper is one of the most exciting purchases that you can make. I'm going to show you what to look out for and what to avoid before you even spend a penny. I've been around camper vans for years and I've seen so many mistakes and so much wasted money. Now let's get into it. Now the first thing to consider is the base van itself. You need to look at a few things. The first one is mileage and service history. Is the mileage reasonable? Vans will do a lot of miles, but you don't want something that's been to the moon and back. And service history is probably even more important. Make sure that it's been serviced regularly, ideally by a reputable garage, and that you know it's been well looked after. A well looked after van, when it comes to mechanicals, is quite often well looked after all over. Once you've looked at those, we need to start thinking about the van itself. The first thing, rust. The worst thing you can get on any van. Find a van with rust, you'll be chasing it around for years to come. Have a look around, give it a good inspection, or if you're not sure, get a professional to inspect it for you. After that, just have a general look around and see if you can spot anything. Look at panel gaps, make sure they're fairly even. Now, they can be a little bit different on vans over cars. You find they're not always as careful when they're making them. However, just have a look around. You'll soon tell whether it's had any accident damage or paintwork. A little bit of paintwork here and there, especially on a van, isn't a problem. But a full new front end, you might want to look at a different van. So we've got the ideal base van. The next thing to think about is the layout. There's a few different layouts, especially on something the size of a Crafter. You get a lot of different options. You can have fixed beds, toilets, different kitchen placements, different kitchen sizes. There's all sorts. You get a fixed bed, you get a garage. So let's cover a few options there. First thing to do is to write down what you need in a camper van. Some people really want a fixed bed, they have to have it. Other people, a toilet is an essential. As you can tell, I haven't put a toilet in mine. I personally don't use my van in a way that I need to have a toilet on board, but I did want a fixed bed. The thing I do most in the van is sleep in it, and I want to be comfortable. I don't want to be going away thinking I'm going to have a bad night's sleep. So I've got a full-size bed in the back with a proper mattress, and it is really comfortable. So have a think about what's important to you. From there, you can decide what layouts suit you. You might have a couple of options that'll work for you, and as you're looking around for a van, you think, well, that one does and that one doesn't. Have a list of priorities as well. Have a list of, I need this, I'm not that bothered about this, but I'd like it, and I'm really not that fussed, but if it's there, well, bonus. Try and tick off as many of the needs as you can, ideally all of them. If it doesn't fit you, don't buy it. Do not buy a van that you will regret later just because it looked pretty in the pictures. I promise you, it's not a good way to buy a camper van. So, fixed beds, especially in a van this size, are quite common. I personally think they're a great idea. But if you want a big rear lounge, you want to be able to seat a load of people, especially if you've got a big family or something like that, they're a really good option. You get loads of space, and obviously that pulls down into a bed. Maybe not as comfortable as a fixed bed because it's not a dedicated bed, but that's the compromise. And as you know, everything in a camper van is a compromise. Then have a think about how you're going to cook. Are you going to be cooking in it all the time, or are you going to be eating out most of the time, maybe making a bacon sandwich? For me, it's the latter. A bacon sandwich and microwave meals. I have a microwave, I have a sink, I have a very basic cooker. It's all I need. However, if you're going to cook every night in your van, that's not going to cut it. It's going to annoy you. Think about the usage and make the van fit that, not the other way around. It'll make your camping experience so much better, trust me. So you've figured out your layout. Now it's time to think about the appliances and the fixtures and fittings that make up that layout. But before we get there, one tip I would give you, if you can and you don't need the extra seat, go for the single seat in the front. It swivels round, you can jump in and out of the front, and it's so much better, especially on a rainy day when you don't want to get out of your van, go all the way around to clamber in the side loading door. It just makes the van feel a lot bigger and a lot more spacious. But anyway, let's get back to the appliances. The first thing to think about is the safety. If you are having some sort of rear seats, obviously it's not something that I've got, ideally you want them to be M1 pull tested. Now most seats that you buy are, it just means they've been on a jig, they've been pulled, they've been checked, you know that they're going to be safe. And realistically, it's likely to be kids in the back. It's not worth saving a few £100 or getting that conversion where they've cut corners just to save the money over your kids' safety. It also is worth thinking, if they've cut corners there, where else have they cut corners? So just bear that in mind. Generally, someone that's converting a van has got a certain mindset. If it's as budget as possible, where else have they saved money? The next thing to think about is the electrical system. Ideally, you want a well-known, well-recognised electrical system. There are multiple brands out there. Do your research and find a good system. It'll integrate into the van and everything will work. It'll all sort of be easy, understandable. When people start making their own systems, they can be great, but you don't know who's done it. So it's worth taking note of what system's been used. And to link into that, solar. I think these days, on a camper, solar power is virgin on essential. I don't think you need to go crazy. I see some vans that have 1,000 watts of solar, and unless you're running a cinema, it's probably not essential. A few hundred watts of solar, I think I've only got 150. It's plenty. It keeps it topped up for the amount of time that I'm away. Just make sure that all the appliances and the fittings are of good quality. They'll come with warranty, they'll come with backup, and they've been tried and tested for years and years by many campervan users, and that's why they're popular and still on the market. So the next thing I want to talk about is paperwork. Now, it's not the fun side, but it is a necessity. The first thing is make sure you're getting a logbook. Most people know this, but if you're going to buy a van, you need to have the logbook to suit. Don't accept that I'll send it you in a couple of weeks. That's not good enough. You need to have it when you buy the van, you take the logbook away with you, or at least the new keeper slip, and then the logbook will come through the post in your name within a few days. The other thing is, ideally, you want your campervan registered as a campervan on the logbook. Now, this isn't essential. It doesn't actually matter, and insurance companies are absolutely fine whether it's registered or not, assuming you can give them proof that it is a camper. However, it is nice, and if it's registered as a van, you'll only be able to do 50 mile an hour on A roads, whereas if it's registered as a motor caravan, campervan, you'll be able to do 60. So it's worth bearing in mind, and it's also worth remembering if you are registered as a van, you are at van speed limits. I've seen it catch multiple people out, so just be careful of that. And the other thing to check is any conversion work that's been done professionally, have you got receipts for it? Things like that. Just find out where it's been done, what's been done, then at least you know who you can go back to. You might not have a warranty with them, but at least you can ask questions on how they've done it. And the other thing is, ideally, if you don't know where it's been converted, you want some sort of gas safety check if you've got gas, or a habitation check. You'll get paperwork to back that up, and a habitation check kind of goes through everything. Just make sure that it's working and that you shouldn't have any issues with it for the next 12 months. Ideally, you want to redo a habitation check every 12 months. As the owner of Drive Lodge, I'd be daft not to mention it here. We're a family-run business specialising in safe, reliable and ergonomic roofs. For more information, click the link in the description. So now we've seen what to look out for and what to avoid, let's nip onto Autotrader and have a look at some real-life examples, and then we can talk through the pros and the cons. So we'll open Autotrader, we'll go to the campervan section, and then we want to click make, go down to Volkswagen, and then we'll go to Crafter. We're not going to put a price in, we'll just have a look and see what there is. Now obviously there will be some other crafters on Autotrader that'll be listed under whoever's made them, but just for the purpose of this, we'll have a look at these. So first things first, this is a crafter by Autocraft, who actually do some nice conversions. So you can see here, it's got the bit spotted on the outside. It does look nice, but we want to go a bit deeper than that just to find out if it really is worth buying. So it's a used van, so we want to have a look through the photos. I think this will be a new conversion, so we don't need to look at how well it's been used, but have a look. You can see it, you can just see by looking at the photos and what's in it. They've put things like a fire blanket in, so they've thought about it. It's not a budget bodge job. You can see by the fit and finish as well. It's a really nice conversion. This one here has got the twin seats in the front. I prefer the single so you can walk through, just so if you park up you don't need to go outside to get in the back. But if you need the seating capacity when you're driving, then it's a compromise you have to make. And like we've always said, everything in a camper van is a compromise. Got a nice little lighting thing around the top. You can see there, it's got the Sargent electrical system, a really well-renowned system in campervans. You know it's going to be reliable. It's not going to give you, I won't say any problems. It shouldn't give you any problems. you never know, but it's definitely a good system that's trusted by campervan users. I'll do a close-up of it there. So this conversion here, there's not masses of floor space, but there is the little sofa, and obviously it's got the big fixed bed at the back, which, as you can see, I think's a really good idea. It's got the electrics, the hookup. It looks like everything's, I think that's Autocraft, is it, that do that? That's the heating system. So it is, it's a good quality conversion. Nice fridge. I don't know what make that is, but nice size. And then obviously a big garage in the back, which, as we were talking about layouts, that's something that a lot of people want. Especially if they've moved up from smaller vans, you find people want the extra storage. That's the thing that people miss the most. So we'll just have a quick scroll down. This one's got a shower in it, a TV in the bed, everything you need. We'll look at the front here. So it's the manual. Again, personal preference. Mine's manual. Some people like automatic. I do like automatic. Just when you're picking a van, you can't have everything you want, especially when you're buying a used van. But yeah, that's a really nice van. There's nothing there that would jump out at me. It looks like a well looked after van, and it's from a reputable company, so you're probably not going to have any issues with that. However, let's have a look at something that's a little bit more maybe home built, or not certainly a new conversion. Let's have a look in this one here. So this is an older shape crafter, short wheelbase one. You can see it's got a slightly strange layout. It's got two single seats that aren't parallel by the looks of it. So layout wise, this is a bit peculiar. It looks like it's got a big bed at the back as well. So it's similar to the last one we just looked at, but obviously much shorter, so your inside space is even less. It's got things like the metal edging. It's a bit more of a budget conversion. You can see the microwave's not flush mounted. It's still probably quite nice. It's got a lot of electrical gubbins in it. It looks like you've got heaters, power units. I'm guessing one of them's for solar. Now, something we will look at is, let's go into the specs of the van and see what it says about it. If it's a low mileage van, that's always worth looking out for, because vans, if they're used as vans by companies before they're converted, can soon end up with 100, 200,000 miles on them. 100,000, you want to be checking out service history. 200,000, I'd really be checking it and maybe giving it a wide berth. Just the mileage, it does wear things out. It's not just the engine, it's things like ball joints, rubber covers and CV joints, everything that just can wear out by doing mileage. If you're going to have it, especially if you're not going to use it very much, which sounds silly, but if you're not going to use it very much, you need to make sure it's mechanically sound. Vehicles that get used a lot generally are more reliable than ones that sit there for months on end and don't get used. We'll see if we can find another one. Let's have a look at this. Got a big skull on the side. Wouldn't be my choice of graphics, but each to their own. So I would guess that this, I guess this is a home conversion. So you can see here, we start to look at the electrics. They may be fine, but I don't think they've been installed by a professional. So I would have them checked out. If you're going to look at a camper like this, you can see the finish of it's not just quite as nice. Certainly in the hidden bits. Now, you find at the top level conversions, even the hidden sections still look good. They're presented well. Here you've got wires going everywhere. They're not covered in. They're prone to getting knocked, banged if you're not careful. So it would be worth checking that out and just making sure. Again, pull-out bed. It looks quite pleasant as a camper van. But if you're going to be looking at buying it used, have a look and just check that the quality is good. One other thing to point out, which people sometimes don't think about, is these rubber plastic covers that go around wheel arches and along bottoms of sills. Now, if you're not careful, they can be used to cover up rust. So just be careful that your van is a really sound van. What you don't want is rust. You're going to end up chasing it forever and it'll just cause you an absolute headache. Make sure that you're looking behind the arches, looking behind these covers. Obviously, you can't take them off if you're going to go and look at it, but you can look and see if there's any sort of signs of corrosion around them. It may just be that they've put it on because it looks good. I've got them on my van and I think they look brilliant, but I knew there was no rust there when I put them on. So just be careful of covers like that, especially things along the bottom of sills. It can mean, if someone's put a big cover along the bottom of the side loading door, for instance, they can be prone to corrosion. So just make sure that it is sound underneath them. we'll flip through them photos. It's quite a nice camper, but I would just give it a check before you went ahead and purchased it. And there's some really quite funky pink boarding in the garage. Not quite sure what that's there for. Bit of a weird colour scheme. But anyway, each to their own. So now you know everything that I look for when buying a crafter camper van. What is it that you look out for? Let me know in the comments.